Good afternoon or morning, everyone, whatever time of day it is you guys are watching this. So I wanted to make a quick video on why I resigned from Reform. So for those of you guys don't know, at the last election, I was one of the candidates for Reform. I resigned from Reform. Now, I've not gone public on the reasons why, and I don't want to go into the inner workings of my decision. I just want to give a brief overview of what happened. So back in, what was it? The December before the election, I was told by Reform leadership or Reform headset, and if anybody in Reform wants to call me out on this and say it's not true, absolutely fine. I can just release the emails and the WhatsApp messages that I've screenshotted, because what I'm saying is true. Now, I was told I was going to be standing in an area, the area that I live in, the area that my family lives in, the area that Sarah's family lives in. Once I was told this, and it was the December before the election, so December, what we are now, 25, so it had been 24, so it had been December 23. I was told I had an area where my family lives, where I live, which I thought naturally would have been the best place for me to win my seat. January, I started with my friends and my family. We were going out, we were posting leaflets, we were posting all sorts of stuff. We were getting out there, we were talking to people, and quietly confident, I believe I'd won that seat by the end of January. I was really confident that I would have won that seat. And again, when you've got these family ties in those locations, it's not Sean, who's somebody we don't know. It's Sean whose sister has a shop here. It's Sean whose cousin has a shop here. It's Sean whose auntie, Sarah, down at the pantry. And these family ties, they tie you into that area. And, that's why I was a firm believer that I would have won my seat. Now, what happened is, and again, I don't want to go into the nuts and bolts, but basically on my online profiles, I started to get messages saying, hey, we've checked you out and you're not the candidate. And I looked into this, and on the Reform website, I was not the candidate for that area. So I tried to get confirmation from Reform HQ as to what is actually happening. I was saying, right, guys, listen, what's happening here? Because, I'm going out every day. I'm posting thousands of leaflets. My family are involved. Sarah's family are involved. We're giving a huge push on the doorsteps here in this constituency. I didn't get a response. I kept sending email. I was going to meetings, the seminars. I was giving speeches. I was saying, right, guys, look, okay, I'm in this area. I'm working this area. What's happening? Because, I'm getting people ask me if I'm standing. Everybody kept kicking the can down the road. Now, there are certain key names in this chain that are not at Reform anymore. And remember, listen, guys, okay, this was before Nigel took over. So I don't know how it's been run now, but this is pre-Nigel, there were certain names who were just not answering me. And I said, look, okay, I'm going to have to stop. So by mid-February, I said, look, I'm going to have to stop going out here and posting leaflets and talking to people, because what I feel is happening is I could actually be doing more harm to Reform than good. Still didn't hear anything. Tried to get a confirmation. Would I be standing in this constituency? As soon as the election was called, I said, hey, guys, what's happening? And they said, no, you were not standing in that constituency. You were never standing in that constituency. You will be standing here. I said, whoa, hang on a minute, guys. Listen, none of my family live there. I don't live there. People don't know me in that area. I've not been out posting leaflets in that area. I should be where I live. It came back from Reform. They said, look, okay, somebody else will be standing where you live. That person doesn't even live in your constituency. They've never been out. They've never posted any envelopes. They're not known in that location. But anyway, and then I said, okay, fine. What about all the money that I've spent on, I'm not going to go into it, but I spent a ton of money. I understand that as a new organization, there are teething problems with any new organization. I've started enough companies myself to know this. So as I kept moving forward, that the things that they were throwing back at me from, and again, I've got to be quite clear. These people have gone now; they've had the sack. That these people I was talking to, they were saying they were just making things up. They were saying, Sean, you were never told you were standing in this constituency. You were all, and I said, listen, guys, I've literally got the emails here. I've got the WhatsApp messages. So I sent them the WhatsApp messages, and then they just said, well, I mean, I think the response was, I've got a screenshot of it. I won't share it now, but if anybody in Reform wants to call me out, I will share them. They said, no, Sean, you was never told that. And then once I showed them the emails, they said, right, okay, it's nothing to do with us. It's nothing to do with me. I said, okay, but what about the money I've spent? Because I spent a ton of my own money. Again, they said it's nothing to do with them. And I thought, right, okay, that's how we're going to play it, is it? So I had a day to think, and I thought, right, okay, in this circumstance, what if my daughter came and told me she'd been treated like that by somebody, by an employer, what would I tell her to do? And I thought, right, okay, I tell her to resign, hand your notice in, and leave. So I thought, right, okay, I need to do this. Now, the day I planned to, I wanted to hand my resignation in so they could fit somebody else into my spot. And again, this would be something called a paper candidate, which is all I would have been in that constituency. Because remember, I'd been out working my constituency since January. By the end of January, I was quietly confident that I'd won that seat. So I phoned up, I sent an email. I said, look, guys, the way I've been treated, it's not right. I can't be part of a party or an organization that treats their people, treats their staff like that. And I gave them the reasons. Look, I've given you guys a ton of money for X, for Y, for Z. You've not given me that. You've not provided those items. For example, like the street stalls, the websites, leaflets, and all sorts of stuff. I said, I've given you guys lots of money. None of this stuff's materialized. The only stuff that's actually materialized is stuff I've gone and paid for myself. You're now telling me that it's not your responsibility about this money that I've spent. And I just thought, right, okay, if you're going to penny pinch now, where are we heading to in the future? What's the what's that organization going to look like in the future? And again, listen, I need to be very clear. This was before Nigel Farage had come back to Reform. This was before he was the leader. So this was while his watch wasn't happening. And I get it, guys. I really do. When an organization grows that big, you do get some used car salesmen popping up. You do get some used car salesmen popping up, just trying to get as much money as they can from people and then not give them anything in return, and I did fall victim to this. But again, it was just the response from Reform and how they just said, it's not my problem. And I was like, yeah, it kind of is your problem, because you're the, I'm not going to give you their names, but if you're in charge of that, or if you have a charge of an organization, everything that happens below you, guess what? That is your responsibility, because that's how things work. And they weren't coming to this conclusion. They weren't, and it was just a bad situation for me. And now there's a lot of things being pushed out against Reform. What I will say is, and I've said this I'm going to do another video on this later on today. There's a spat at the moment between Nigel Farage and Elon Musk. Although I've met Nigel, and he's a fantastic guy. He's sharp. He's intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. What I really fear at the moment is if Elon Musk puts out, like, I don't know, a bounty, for want of a better word, and say, right, okay, I will give £100 million to Reform if Nigel Farage is not the leader. Now, I've talked about Nigel Farage. I've said he's a great guy. He's a good guy. I don't think Nigel Farage would be a war leader, and that's not a diss on Nigel Farage. That's saying I don't think he has the stomach to make those difficult decisions, and that's actually positive for him, because those guys who make those difficult decisions, they're a very particular type of person. But anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to do a further video on that that spat between Elon Musk and Nigel Farage later on today. But I just wanted to get that out there, make it clear why I resigned from Reform. And yeah, and if anybody wants to, like, anybody from Reform thinks I'm talking cobbles water, I'm happy to release those emails. I'll do them publicly on this platform or the other platform. Obviously, take out people's names and any any information that's sensitive, because I do know that those people who were what's the best word, used car salesman-esque, I do know those people now under Nigel have left. But anyway, guys, listen, the state of the United Kingdom right now is it's diabolical. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to back to grid. I'll get you guys another video later.